Have y'all ever noticed that the very people who loves to say God is mysterious, or, well, God's ways are not our ways, or it's in God's hands now? Have you ever noticed that the very people that say those things are the very people who will spend their time telling you what God wants you to do? And they've always got a built-in defense system. It's always there for them. Because anytime you start to win an argument, and by the way, you can win any religious argument with 2 words, and that's prove it. And you've got it. But anytime you corner someone, and anytime you say to them, prove it, show me the evidence, they have a built-in defense system to say, well, God's ways is not my ways. God's mysterious. I'm just putting it in God's hands. Now, I got to thinking about something. I thought, people are taught that from childhood. I was taught it. I was brought up in church. And when I used to question Sunday school teachers back in Sunday school, they would say, well, now, Brandon, you're thinking in the carnal mind. You're thinking in the flesh now, Brandon. You need to get in that spiritual mind, and you need to pray harder. Pray harder and ask me again. And that was always their built-in defense system. I remember one time I asked a simple question. This is simple to me. And I'm probably like a 10 or 11-year-old kid, okay? And a 30-some-year-old Sunday school teacher was deer in headlights, and he had to go get the preacher, and the preacher was deer in headlights too on this one, because they were telling me that the only way to get to heaven was through Jesus Christ. That's it. If you don't accept Jesus Christ, you will not make it. So I posed the question, what about the Native Americans? What about the ones that never met Jesus? Oh, they met him. Where's the proof for that? Well, I'm sure they did. Well, how would the Native Americans have met him all the way over here if he was all the way over there? Well, I'm sure he came over here. Was there proof? Is there evidence of his trip here? Is that in the Bible? Is that anywhere? Well, no, but I'm sure they were given a chance. I ended up being removed from Sunday school for asking those kind of questions, because they said I was rocking the boat and confusing the other kids. So we're brought up to deny evidence, and we're brought up to not even have to show any. It's no wonder then that conspiracy theories and Donald Trump was able to take off the way that they did. Because in conspiracy theories, you can make it up as you go too. In conspiracy theories, you can deny all evidence. You can say all the evidence is rigged against you. And you can make any claim you want to and then come behind it with, well, now that's what they told me. I heard them talking about it. They said it. The mysterious they. You can always blame it off on them. Donald Trump came along and he figured out how to cash in on all of it. He figured out how to bring the two together. He got the evangelical support. He got the conspiracy crowd, and he pulled them together. And they came together because they both have the same built-in style of belief system and the same built-in style of debating that they were taught, that they were groomed. Now, I'm about to piss a lot of people off here, but we hear so much outrage from the right talking about drag queens, and we don't want drag queens reading a book to our children. Yet I can't think of one case, and no one's ever told me one, of a kid who heard a story from a drag queen and went out here and did something drastic. There's no evidence for none of that. But there's plenty of evidence for people who were brought up to believe that God's ways are mysterious, and you don't have to provide evidence for anything. There's a whole lot of people that grew up, and I could point to thousands of cases of priests and youth leaders and youth ministers that preyed upon children because they were groomed from childhood to have this built-in style of belief system that makes them always the winner. Like I said, you can disprove any religion with 2 words, and that's prove it. But the people you're debating are the kind of people who are going to wait till they see you getting ahead, and they're going to take their ball and go home. Remember back when you used to be playing? You was kind of behind in the game, and you started coming back, and then the kid said, oh, I hear my mama calling. I got to go. I won. That's what we're dealing with, and those people are also fired up, and they're ready to vote. You don't even have to have a reason for voting for someone in this country. They don't have to meet any criteria. They don't have to meet anything. You could vote for Porky Pig. You could vote for my little laughing Buddha statue in the house. You could vote for Charles in charge. There's a whole bunch of people fired up and ready to vote and get behind the guy who cashed in on the religious and cashed in on the conspiracy crowd, and that crowd is pumped up and ready to vote. So if you give a damn about the rights, if you give one single damn about the rights of other Americans, regardless of where they come from or who they are. You better get fired up and vote, and you better get people that sits back and says, I don't get into politics, I don't do that. Well, now's the time, because our democracy is on the line more than it's ever been, and we have to stand up and fight for it. We have to keep pushing truth out there, and we keep having to demand evidence. We have to keep demanding that evidence and saying, prove it. And when they can't, that's on them. But don't ever forget, they're fired up and they're ready to vote.